Roy Robinson. This Petty Creek response is just a small portion of a more systemic problem in the department right now on response times. In my regular job, it affords me the opportunity to listen in to the 911 calls and to the traffic from the fire departments. And I think if you guys pulled the times for the last year and compare them to 2 years ago on the response times, that you're going to see a significant increase on the response times over the year. So need to look at not just Petty Creek, but the whole district on what has changed and what needs to be done to afford the service that people of this district pay for and deserve. Thank you.
Yes. Could you come over by the podium, or do you mind?
Hello, my name is Stephanie, and I'm simply here because I wasn't sure where in this forum my questions would apply. Based on the last couple of questions, I'm simply here because I was semi-recently involved in a situation that caused me to ask several questions of several people around me, which they couldn't answer, and they all told me to come here. So I'm hoping that I have 2 questions that you could possibly answer for me. First question is, why is the Alberton station not manned?
Well,
It is, man.
It's Tuesday.
There.
welcome to the meeting.
Pardon me? A question has been addressed to you.
Well, it is manned. We've just recently got it completed. We've started trainees in there, but we have to get people up to speed too. Were you here when Mitchell read the first
So that
thing about
as of last
staffing?
weekend they were manned. I was curious as to what are the hours? Are they manned 24 hours, or is it just a daytime shift thing? Or, I'm sorry, this is an extensive question on the first.
We're talking about the manning of the Alberton, or the Alberton fires.
Okay.
You can address them to the deputy chief.
Okay, so I have not physically seen or been on situations where seen responses come from out of the Alberton station. So it would appear it's not manned. I've been told it is manned just now, so I'm curious when and how. What are the hours? Are there just a short window to qualify for manning, or is there an actual scheduling?
We have residents that stay out there when they're off duty. And the policy is that we staff Station 1 first.
I
And
heard that.
then we have the manning, then we staff Station 8. We have 4 and/or 5 man crews. If we have a 5-man crew, which includes 3 EMTs, we have 2 EMTs at Station 1, and then we'll staff Station 8 with a 2-man crew, one of them being an EMT. And so it's not every night that it's staffed. And say we have one crew that has 5 people on it, one crew that has 4 people on it. Their crew cycle right now is 3 days on and 3 days off. And
So you're saying the percentage right now in Alberton is 50% manned?
in the evening, okay, those are residents. So Station 1 is generally staffed during the day, and then we have the career staff that does truck checks and go out to do things at different stations, and so they're around the district. And so at any one time, Station 1 is always manned, but some of the other stations are manned, okay, during the day. During the night, when the residents are staffing from 6 o'clock a.m. to 7 or 8, 6 o'clock p.m. to 7 or 8 a.m., then about half the time Station 8 is manned out there.
Okay, then my second question would then be, what are the hours required for training and/or status of training and/or levels of each individual required before they respond to a call without what would be considered a supervisory position?
You generally have a duty officer on every shift.
What level would they be at?
As far as training,
As far as
are you talking about the
hours of training, or just their level? Like, I know you could, in the military it's SPFCs or whatever. It's like, I'm sorry, I'm not as familiar, but I also know that in the Forest Service you have different levels. What is the level of training in the department for them to respond to a call without a supervisory position?
We generally,
Our hours of training, how many hours of training would it take for, you said it takes 2 people to respond minimum. What are the hours combined between them of training required and or their level of,
well, our minimum level of training for first aid is first responder ambulance. And
Okay.
we have almost 100% of that. We have some new people that haven't reached that yet. Okay, after that, they go to EMT. So we require that to staff, we have and they're all firefighters, so we have a minimum of firefighter, 1 firefighter EMT and 1 firefighter first responder, if we're going to have a 2-man crew.
so you're required to have an EMT responder for each call? You're telling me that you're required, not just a firefighter, not just a first responder, but whoever shows up, at least one person has to be EMT. Is
For
that
any
correct?
call? Well, for a medical call, yes.
Okay,
For fire calls, then there's a different status, but since everybody has medical training, then we generally have an EMT and a...
well, not medical training, but EMT training. Actual EMT certification done. Each person has to have, you're saying there has to be 1 on each crew that shows up that way. You have to be EMT certified to show up. Each crew has to have 1 person if it is a medical call.
Yes,
Yes,
yes.
thank you. And then as far as secondary levels, what is the hours of training required for them to be showing up on a, say, medical, not fire call?
Well, can I interrupt you saying, it isn't hours of time. You have to go through a class and then you have to pass.
Okay, not just,
Test.
okay, that's why I said earlier ranking. I know ranking qualifies
Okay.
too. I just didn't know, he seemed confused by ranking. I didn't want to confuse the issue. So I went to hours. But what is the ranking required then to show up on a medical, not fire call?
We want an EMT and a first responder ambulance. The first responder ambulance is a lower level.
Then I thank you for your time. And
Thank you. Any more public comment? New business. I think probably the claims and talking with Lisa, we're going to have to sit down and really look at possibly finding out if we're going to get the money from Stone and look at what our personnel costs are, probably sooner rather than later. And I don't know if it might be worth a call to the county to see if they have received tax payment now. I mean, we probably wouldn't have gotten it either if they'd gotten it.
The newspaper, this was a couple of weeks ago, so I don't know how dated it is, but it was talking about Missoula County being $4 million short in collections, and Lisa can update that to give us a better idea of where that is exactly, because every taxing authority is going to be facing the same issue, and it's probably going to be a longer-term type situation than any of us are going to want, but if the economy is going to continue like it is, then we're going to have to deal with it.
Okay, old business. I guess I covered, if everyone heard me, I hoped that we would have the investigation completed and come to some sort of a finality on that, but we weren't able to get it done this week, and everyone seems to be in agreement that we should be able to get it done very shortly this week. Come to some ending. Any reason for executive session? Deposits amount of $1,305.71. Good of the order.
Or could I verify that date for the meeting up?
20, you said 2 weeks from Wednesday, and that would be the 26th.
26th, okay.
I think I did that right.
What time?
No.
Yes. Larry Hayden again. You were just talking about the investigation in regards to the incident with the chief, and I was just wondering if this evolves into searching for a new chief, do you plan on going into this level of investigation before you hire another one?
Move back over
checks.
What's that? Well,
And the last hiring process we went through doing background checks. We checked everything that any employer and any private business would check also. A lot of the background checks and whatnot were done by staff here at the station. So we are just waiting for the outcome of the investigation before we go on any farther with any of that. So it's kind of everybody's in a wait and see mode right at the moment.
Anyone have anything else to the matter? I think I'll entertain a motion for adjournment.
Mary Michael.
So
Oh, Joe
Jolene moved to adjourn. Meeting is adjourned. Thank you.
I want to thank everyone for showing up tonight, and